World Economic Forum 2019 opens in Switzerland. Future prospect of the CPTPP and the preparations of Vietnamese enterprises. Hello and welcome to this edition of BizLine brought to you by VTV International. You're with me, Phát. And as usual, we'll begin our program by reviewing the economic highlights during the past week. The 2019 World Economic Forum took place in Davos, Switzerland from January the 21st to the 25th, with the theme Globalization 4.0, shaping a new architecture in the age of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc led the high-ranking Vietnamese delegation, bringing a strong message that Vietnam would promote cooperation with the world's leading corporations. The forum discussed topics including climate change, artificial intelligence, and the future of Europe. The annual Bloomberg Innovation Index has ranked Vietnam in the top 60 most innovative economies in the world. This is a prestigious international index to effectively assess government policy and the impact of innovation on the economy. In its 7th year, the Bloomberg Innovation Index analyzes dozens of criteria using 7 metrics, including research and development spending, manufacturing capability, and concentration of high-tech public companies. Vietnam's positive result reflects the efforts of the Vietnamese government in improving the domestic business environment. Along with Vietnam, India, Mexico, and Saudi Arabia also debuted. South Korea still ranked first, and Germany came in a close second. Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi remained among the global top 10 most dynamic growing cities in Short-Term City Momentum Index, or CMI 2019, of JLL Global Real Estate Firm. This index tracks socio-economic and commercial real estate growth in 131 cities over a 3-year period. With Hanoi in 3rd place and Ho Chi Minh City 8th, Vietnam was the strongest performer, with 2 cities ranking the highest in ASEAN. According to JLL, the City Momentum Index looks at 20 indicators, including recent percentage changes in city GDP, population, air passengers, and corporate headquarters presence, projected percentage changes in GDP, population, and retail sales, and recent levels of and changes in foreign direct investment. Many banks in Vietnam have unveiled impressive results in 2018, with some witnessing their best ever performances. Only the 3 biggest banks, Vietcombank, BIDV, and Agribank, recorded a profit of about $1.6 billion in 2018. According to the plan, from now until Lunar New Year, other banks will also announce their business results. Although there are no official figures yet, the estimates show there will be changes in bank rankings this year. For the first time, private commercial banks will replace state-owned banks in the top 4. In 2019, Techcombank could report profits of over $432 million, raising it to the 2nd or 3rd position. After investigating the dumping of carbon steel welded pipe products imported from Vietnam, the Canada Border Services Agency said it could consider imposing anti-dumping duties on this product. The Vietnamese exporter, who answered the questionnaires, has a dumping margin ranging from 3.0% to 26.1%. The Canadian International Trade Tribunal is continuing its inquiry into the question of injury to the domestic industry and will give an order by February the 15th, 2019. Consumer demand during Tết holiday 2019 will increase sharply compared to last year, thanks to high economic growth, according to economists. This year's Tết is forecast to be effervescent as people's incomes have much improved. A representative from the Hanoi Supermarket Association said that during this Tết holiday, the demand for goods will increase about 10 to 20%, while the number of people choosing to travel will be much higher. Data from the Ministry of Labor, Invalids and Social Affairs showed that state bonuses this year averaged more than 6.3 million Vietnam dongs per person, or nearly $300 per person, an increase of 11% compared to last year. So spending will also increase strongly. That has wrapped up the economic highlights during the past week. Up next in our crosstalk, we'll talk about the future prospect of CPTPP and how the Vietnamese enterprises should prepare to take full advantage of this agreement. The Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, or CPTPP, has officially been effective in Vietnam since January the 14th. This new generation agreement introduces higher standards and creates a free economic zone with about 500 million people and 13% of global GDP. To benefit from the CPTPP, enterprises have to clearly understand and know how to apply articles effectively, especially its rules of origins. This issue will be discussed in today's crosstalk. But first, let's start with the following report to see how Vietnamese enterprises have acquired information related to the CPTPP.
Parties to the CPTPP pledged to cut nearly 100% of taxes in various sectors. However, these commitments will only be fulfilled when high standards and the rules of origins of goods are ensured. Vietnamese exporters will only enjoy benefits when they receive preferential certificates of origins from CPTPP members.
Thực tiễn chúng tôi hỗ trợ các doanh nghiệp thì gần như các doanh nghiệp cũng chỉ biết rằng là có một số cam kết liên quan đến thuế nhập khẩu hay thuế xuất khẩu một số mặt hàng của Việt Nam đi ra nước ngoài ở một cái thời điểm nào đó sẽ về không. Ví dụ như vậy, nhưng cụ thể là khi nào về không và hiện nay các doanh nghiệp, các sản phẩm của doanh nghiệp đưa đến các thị trường thế giới là bao nhiêu % thì doanh nghiệp cũng không được biết. Hoặc là những cái quy tắc xuất xứ hoặc những điều kiện để hưởng những quy tắc xuất xứ như thế nào, doanh nghiệp cũng chưa hề nắm rõ.
Big enterprises have made thorough preparations for the CPTPP as well as other FTAs. Meanwhile, Vietnamese enterprises are mostly small and medium-sized, and their knowledge of this issue is still limited.
Khi CPTPP này được ký kết thì công ty đã chuẩn bị 4 năm trước rồi. Đã chuẩn bị tất cả ngành hàng, bán hàng, xuất sang nước ngoài. Bản thân doanh nghiệp phải tự vận động và phải tự thay đổi mình để tìm hiểu, chứ không phải là đợi người khác cho. Bản thân mình phải tự thở, bản thân mình tìm con đường, rồi sau đó mình mới có yêu cầu là gỡ thêm cái gì.
Nói về việc tìm hiểu thông tin thì nói thực là doanh nghiệp của mình cũng về mặt tâm thế thì bắt đầu có, nhưng về mức độ gọi là chủ động và mức độ sẵn sàng cao thì chưa. Tức là dường như chúng ta vẫn tiếp cận nó giống như một trào lưu chứ chưa phải là một cuộc chơi mà trong đó chúng ta là nhân vật chính. Thế thì cái thông điệp mà chúng tôi rất muốn chia sẻ đến các doanh nghiệp rằng là ở đây nó là cuộc chơi mà các anh chị là nhân vật chính.
We have invited to our studio today economic expert Bùi Kim Thi, who has had chances to join many negotiations of free trade agreements or FTAs. Thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Our first question, before the CPTPP officially took effect in Vietnam in January the 14th, this agreement has been discussed in various forums, publications and articles. So what can you say about enterprises' knowledge and readiness of the CPTPP?
Not so many Vietnamese enterprises, especially the small and medium ones, can have full understanding and updated information about the free trade agreements in general and CPTPP in particular. The articles, the legal text, is not easy to all of us, not only the public sector or the private sector, not only the business community or the consumers. We cannot have a better understanding of the FTAs, including CPTPP, if we cannot be well equipped with effective tools of how to understand how to apply effectively. If we cannot be well equipped with effective tools, we cannot use the FTAs, including CPTPP, effectively, so we cannot enjoy the full benefit from such FTAs.
What do you think about the interactions between the state agencies and the private sector in popularizing FTAs like the CPTPP?
The government and the related agencies of Vietnam have been doing well during the negotiation process, during the international economic process, to bring good conditions, good provisions that could be suitable for Vietnam. So now, you and me, including the enterprises, including the consumers, can raise a question: how come we can apply in a correct way? Negotiation and bring good conditions to Vietnam is like to design, to build up a high-quality highway to connect Vietnam to the region as well as to the world. And now the use of the highway depends on the quality of the driver and the quality of the vehicle. I mean, it depends on the quality of the human.
So what do you recommend to help businesses get better access to information?
More training courses, in-depth training courses, more seminars and workshops should be provided from the related agencies, from the public sector, or from the third party to the private sector, in order to equip them with full and updated information, equip them with effective tools to cultivate and to invest in the FTAs. Another tool, you can use consultancy companies, but professional consultancy companies. I do not think that in Vietnam we have enough professional and effective consultancy companies, as well as sufficient lawyers to provide with sufficient and effective input for our business community. That means we still have room for consultancy firms in the near future to set up like a startup to provide their services to our business community. And they can act like a third party to connect the public and the private sector.
Currently, Vietnam has signed a total of 12 free trade agreements, while other 4 FTAs are under negotiation. In any free trade agreements, rules of origins and tax incentives must always go with each other, and the CPTPP is no exception. The rules of origins included in the CPTPP apply to a variety of products and sectors, including Vietnam's major exports such as garment, footwear, aquaculture, wood products, milk and dairy products, etc. In order to ensure balance between trade facilitation and anti-fraudulence, rules of origins in each sector will be strict or flexible.
Compared to other free trade agreements that Vietnam has signed, are the rules of origins in the CPTPP stricter or more flexible?
When we compare among a lot of FTAs already signed, activated and implemented by Vietnam or by ASEAN, we see that in some industries it is more difficult, but in other industries it is easy.
So maybe can you give an example of which sector we have easier rules of origin and which we have more difficult?
The industry that you and me fully know is the textile and garment. Some FTAs like ASEAN-Korea FTA, like Vietnam-Korea FTA, require only CMT, that means cutting, making and trimming only within the territory of Vietnam. Then the goods can be eligible for tariff concession. That means you can source the input like cotton, fabric and other kinds from anywhere in the world. In some other FTAs like ASEAN-Japan, Vietnam-Japan or Vietnam-EU, it requires the fabric forward rule. That means from fabric to the finished garment like you are wearing within the territory of the FTA. That means you have to source the input like fabric from within Vietnam and EU, within ASEAN and Japan. And when we compare like that, we see the yarn forward rule from CPTPP may be the most stringent rule because from yarn to raw fabric, from raw fabric to the finished fabric, and from finished fabric, cutting, making, and trimming, and other steps to make it to become the finished product like you and me is wearing. All the steps must occur within the territory of CPTPP. Of course, with such kind of stringent rule, they have some kind of, we call exceptional cases, like a short supply list. Short supply list means that some kinds of input can be sourced outside of the CPTPP. They also have a de minimis provision. De minimis means that they allow for a small amount of the input that cannot meet the trends in tariff classification, but the output still enjoy the tariff concession, provided that the threshold is 10% in terms of weight or in terms of value. The textile apparel section is the only one industry that can enjoy the flexibility of de minimis, either in terms of weight or in terms of value.
You just mentioned the case of difficult ones for the rules of origin. What about the easier cases?
One case that I can mention here today is from agriculture section about cashew nut. Every year, on average, we have to import from 50 to 60% of the raw material, that means the raw cashew, from the world. And the rules of origin applied for cashew nut under CPTPP is flexible. It does not require the cashew nut to be wholly obtained or wholly produced within the territory of CPTPP. That means the Vietnamese enterprises can import the raw material, the raw cashew nut, from anywhere in the world to further process, to make the final product, and then export to enjoy the preferential tariff treatment from this FTA.
What can you tell us about the utilization rate of CPTPP for Vietnam?
On average, the utilization rate of Vietnam in all FTAs is not high. But don't worry, because the utilization rate from the world is also not high. Only the goods that can meet the rules of origin requirement can enjoy the tariff concession. And if more goods enjoy the tariff concession, that means your utilization rate can be high. If you meet the rules of origin requirement for textile apparel chapters, the rate can only be from 0 to 5% on average to the FTA markets. But if you cannot meet the rules of origin, so the tariff applied on your goods may be from 12 to 20%, maybe to even to 25-50%. So if more enterprises can meet the rules of origin with more goods, we can raise the utilization rate of Vietnam.
These enterprises joined some sessions of CPTPP negotiation. For the last 3 years, it has managed to form supply chain of domestic garment materials to meet the rules of origins from yarn. Thus, it is one of the first enterprises benefiting from the 0% import tax following the CPTPP. The agreement is also a chance for the enterprise to expand markets.
Thì bản thân những cái thị trường mới, các cái nhà nhập khẩu ở thị trường mới như là ở Canada hay ở Úc, New Zealand, họ cũng đã có những cái liên lạc và có những cái giao dịch để mà họ muốn tăng cái tỷ trọng đặt hàng. Với cái việc giảm thuế như vậy thì cái giá bán của họ hay là cái giá họ nhập khẩu sẽ cạnh tranh hơn so với những cái giá mà hiện nay họ đang mua của các cái nước không thuộc CPTPP.
In addition, the CPTPP is also believed to help them enhance the capacity of garment and textile sector and thus getting the most benefits.
Chúng tôi cho rằng là khi CPTPP mà chúng ta tham gia vào có cái quy định về quy tắc xuất xứ từ sợi trở đi thì nó sẽ tạo ra cái sức hút để các nhà đầu tư nước ngoài sẽ đầu tư những cái dự án lớn vào ngành dệt may Việt Nam để giải quyết cái khâu yếu của ngành dệt may Việt Nam hiện nay, đó là cái khâu về nguyên phụ liệu.
Vietnam's agriculture sector is among the most vulnerable to competition from the CPTPP. In the livestock sector, processing and distribution have been the weakest phases, which can only be enhanced with the establishment of strong enterprises and close value chains. In 2017, this animal feed manufacturer invested in developing a clean food production chain that includes breeding, feed production, farming, processing and distribution.
Chuỗi đã xây dựng truyền thông cho mình, cho người tiêu dùng biết được thế nào là thực phẩm sạch, thế nào thực phẩm an toàn và biết được cái quy trình của chuỗi để xây dựng thương hiệu.
Although it was aware of fierce competition when the CPTPP is effective, the company still think that domestic enterprises also have their own advantages.
Chúng ta là doanh nghiệp Việt Nam, chúng ta hiểu thị trường Việt Nam hơn, hiểu văn hóa Việt Nam hơn. Và đấy là những cái lợi thế mà chúng ta có thể biến thành cái điểm mạnh.
Cái thách thức đã đến từ chuyện là chúng ta bị cạnh tranh ngay tại cái sân nhà của mình. Và cái thách thức đến từ cái chuyện là chúng ta chưa đủ cái nội lực. Nội lực đến bao gồm từ chuyện là con giống, đến từ chuyện là chúng ta có những cái trang trại công nghệ cao, đến từ chuyện là làm sao chúng ta có thể có quy hoạch được những cái vùng trọng điểm. Tôi nghĩ là cái cơ hội lớn nhất với chúng tôi và ngay cả với cái ngành chăn nuôi nó nằm ở chỗ là chúng ta có cơ hội tiếp xúc với lại những cái thông tin, những cái công nghệ, những cái giải pháp ở các cái nước phát triển.
With the CPTPP, the biggest challenge for Vietnam's garment and textile sector is the input material issue. So, what are your recommendations for policymakers and enterprises to overcome this issue?
In short term, I do not think that we can have enough input in order to produce products and export to CPTPP partners to enjoy the tariff concession. But in long term, I have a very positive thinking about the industry. If from the public sector create good conditions for investors. Investors here means not only the FDI but also the domestic investors. And I want to emphasize on the high quality investors to invest into the industry to produce the input. The government and the related agencies have created good conditions through FTA negotiations to welcome the high quality investors in this sector.
In addition, what should Vietnam's garment and textile sector pay attention to when it comes to CPTPP?
The anti-fraudulence provision is also applied to any enterprises. If they find out that to make the false declaration, if they find out that you use the wrong materials or the non-originating materials in producing the final product and then export to other CPTPP markets to enjoy the tariff concession. The anti-fraudulence provision will apply on you, and then it affects not only on your enterprise but also to the whole industry.
CPTPP is set to bring fierce competition for the Vietnamese agricultural sector. So what are your recommendations for Vietnamese enterprises and farmers to tackle this issue?
We cannot in one day change the mindset of our farmers from farmers to become entrepreneurs. It can never be easy. So I do think that the policymakers, the scientists, the entrepreneurs, the bankers, the logistics persons and the farmers should be sitting together in order to create the new policies for the farmers to be adaptive in the new era of AI and 4.0 industrial revolutions so that they can become the technical agriculture worker, they can become the entrepreneur.
Overall, what do you think the Vietnamese government should take into consideration when they make policies and laws to help support Vietnamese enterprises, especially the small and medium ones, to take full advantage of the CPTPP?
Policies from public sector should be changed to be adaptive to meet the stringent requirements from high-quality FTAs like CPTPP, and the business community can enjoy that positive change from the angle of the business community. What we need from the government, what we need from the public sector is a law-based, a transparent and non-corruption system. What we need is a policy system that is easy to understand and easy to forecast. However, from the government perspective, we want the private sector, the business community, to be an integral part of the law-making process. It is like a joint stock company with the stakeholders. If you are a stakeholder, you have to be responsible for the company's operations. And the government or the public sector need high quality or the really helpful input or recommendations from the private sector in order to design, to set up the policies that should be adaptive to the private sector.
Once again, thank you very much for joining our program today.
Thank you.
Through expert analysis of notable regulations included in the CPTPP, it can be seen that these agreements can create huge opportunities for all parties if they can effectively and flexibly apply the rules. Vietnam is still set to receive considerable benefits from CPTPP, with this GDP and export forecast to rise by 1.32% and 4.04% respectively by 2035. To make predictions become reality, both enterprises' efforts and proper policies are necessary. And that also wraps up this edition of BizLine. Thank you very much for watching. To watch our program, please log on to vtv4.vtv.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.